Meeting to order for Tuesday, November 24th, 2020, Putnam County Board of County Commissioners. We're going to start this morning. Ms. Smith, as on the agenda, was not able to make it this morning, so Ms. Gilliard has come to give us our opening invocation today. And Pledge of Allegiance is going to follow, led by Commissioner Pickens. Please rise.
Let us pray. Father, in the name of your Son, Jesus, God, we come this day. We come, God, calling upon your name, because the word declares that there is no other name given in heaven or in earth whereby we can be saved. And so, God, today, we come calling upon you because we know that there is strength and power and healing. All of the things that we need are manifested in the name of Jesus. And now, God, we ask that you will guide these men, oh God, that have been elected and duly sworn to uphold the values of this county, to do the work of this county. And so, God, we ask that you will endow them with wisdom and knowledge from on high. God, we pray your blessings upon their families. God, we just ask that you will continue, as you have promised, to supply all of our needs according to your riches and glory. Father, you told us to ask and it shall be given, seek and we shall find, knock and the door shall be open. And so today, God, we come asking, seeking, and knocking, God, depending on you for answers, that the right decisions at all times will be made. And then, God, we lift up this great country and the leaders of this country. And God, we pray in the name of Jesus that this coronavirus that has plagued us, oh God, for so long, God, that you will help us and see us through. God, we thank you for a time of thanksgiving, though it may not be as we are accustomed to celebrating and seeing it. We still give you thanks. We pray, God, for the welfare of our children, God, in our schools. And God, we just love you and we praise you forever and ever. Now have your way in this meeting. Speak, God, that all of us may be mindful of the fact, God, that you have entrusted this county and its laws and policies and whatever it takes to lead us and steer us in the right way, it is entrusted in your hand. These prayers we ask in your Son Jesus' name, and the people of God say amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Gilliard, and thank you, Commissioner Pickens. The chair will entertain a motion for the minutes approved on the as listed on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, so moved the approval of the minutes listed on the agenda.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we're going to move into item 3 and ask the county administrator to move forward to the podium and conduct the reconstruction of the board.
Reconstruction, that's a good word for it. Okay. Before we get into electing the chairman and the vice chair, Mr. Chairman and commissioners, it's a privilege and an honor of mine to be able to do the things that we do here on days like today. You know, we're going to be electing a new chair and a vice chair this morning, but we also have the opportunity to thank the outgoing chair for their service in this previous year. I don't usually write any speeches, and I didn't write one this morning, but I did jot down a couple of notes because it has been such a unique year. So, first of all, Chairman Turner, what a year, sir, that you had as chairman. You fought through a pandemic that we're still under, dealt with some very politically charged issues such as the statue at the courthouse. Hurricane Dorian, thankfully didn't come to here, but we dealt with it. 20-plus named storms, for this year. Not to mention an election you had to run in seeking re-election to the Board of County Commissioners this year. Those are some very unique and difficult situations that this board was put in this year. And it took strong leadership. And it was your leadership that got us through that. Let's talk about a few of the good things that happened this year under Chairman Turner's watch. Fire Committee, great report come out of that. And we are already making great headway in some of the requests that come out of that committee. We can thank our Public Safety Director, J.R. Grimes, for working through that report and doing what was asked of him. But that was you, Chairman Turner, who started that committee. Your foresight brought us a reduction in our solid waste fees by $40 this year per household. It was your foresight who helped us get the contracts that we're utilizing these days, and it's also your foresight that we brought a Putnam County resident back home who is probably the best solid waste director in the state of Florida, Jay Tilton. I appreciate the help with that. I also want to talk about the fact that we lowered the millage a little bit this year. That's unprecedented times during this pandemic, and the way things are going in the economy across the state, across the nation. But those are a lot of accomplishments. But nothing was more telling in your leadership than the fact that even though you went through all of these issues, you had to run an election, and the support from Putnam County voters was 60+%, 65 I believe it was. So, sir, I just want to say thank you for that. I think that was tremendous. I've been given a book by newly elected Commissioner Paul Adams, and I appreciate that. It's called Extreme Leadership, or Extreme Ownership is what it's called. Been reading that book. It talks about leadership and teamwork. We have great teamwork here, and we have great leadership. And I want to say on behalf of our staff, we appreciate the leadership that you showed us during this year. And so without further ado, I just would like to go ahead and make sure that if you would join me for just a minute, sir. Would like to take this opportunity, Chairman Turner, to present you with an appreciation of effect and dedicated leadership as chairman for 2019 and 20 on behalf of the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners and your staff, sir. Sir, before you sit down, we talked about all the issues that we dealt with this year and the great leadership you had. Somehow that plaque just doesn't speak volumes the way as it should for what you've done. So went out and I think we found a gavel that may fit the moment, sir. So I'm passing my gavel to you today, sir.
Watch out, don't.
I know it to be a fact, you've been trying to get that out of your office.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, let's go ahead. If you don't mind, gentlemen, we'll enter right into electing of the chairman and the vice chair. The moderator will open the floor for nominations. Nominations do not require a second. If only one name is placed in nomination, the moderator will ask for a motion to close the nominations and to elect the nominee by acclamation. A second to the motion and vote will follow. If more than one name is placed in nomination, the moderator will ask for a motion to close nominations. A second to the motion and the vote will follow. The moderator will then ask for a show of hands in support of the nominees in the order in which they were nominated. The moderator will acknowledge the newly elected chairman, and the same procedure will be followed to election of the vice chair. So at this time, gentlemen, is there any nominations for the position of chair?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, sir.
I would like to make the nomination for chairman. It's my honor to nominate Commissioner Larry Harvey.
We have a nomination for Commissioner Larry Harvey to sit as chair this year.
I move nominations cease.
We have a motion to close nominations. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, newly elected Chair Larry Harvey.
Once there.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, why don't we sit there for just a moment? I'll
Okay.
switch some things around.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, sir.
I would like to have the honor of nominating Commissioner Bill Pickens as the vice chair.
We have a motion on the floor to nominate Bill Pickens as vice chair. Is there any?
Mr. Moderator, I would like to nominate Commissioner Jeff Rawls as vice chair.
And we have a motion on the floor to nominate Commissioner Jeff Rawls as vice chair. We'll go ahead and ask for a motion to close nominations.
Move nominations cease.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we'll go, as the rules say, we'll go ahead and ask for a vote. Show of hands if you would, please, for those in favor of Commissioner Bill Pickens as serving as vice chair. We have 3 votes for Mr. Pickens. All in favor for those in support of Commissioner Rawls for vice chair. We have 2. The vote for vice chair is a 3-2 vote for Bill Pickens. Congratulations, Mr. Vice Chair Bill Pickens.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess while we rearrange things. order. This is our Board of County Commission meeting, Tuesday, November 24th. I do want to take a little privilege here for a moment and thank everyone for their confidence in me as being the chairman. Spent a lot of time preparing, and a few years back when I was chairman, you thought you're prepared, but you're never prepared for what's coming to you at that time of the year. I also want to echo the sentiments that Mr. Suggs said to Commissioner Turner. Wow, what a year. Never seen such a year that you've had to go through as chairman and run an election and do all the other things that are required of you, being a husband and a father and grandfather. It's quite daunting. I would like to say that I want to see us this year, things that I was working on, is I would like for us to have a workshop come up in January, 1st of January, to discuss each commissioner's goals and objections for, no, not objections.
You'll hear my objections.
Objectives.
We'll have to discuss it.
Objectives for 2021. And if you will, commissioners, I've purchased a little diary for you. This will come in handy, if you don't mind. What you can do is, while we go through the meetings, if you have ideas that you want to share or don't want to share, just write those down, because I believe if we have this special meeting in January to look over the goals and objectives of each one of you, it can make our meetings run a little bit better and a little bit faster. And also want to, like I said, keep a diary of those. And one thing that's really, I think I really learned a lot since the time I was chairman is if we could be prepared when we come. If you have something you want to share for that time, let's get it on the agenda with the proper paperwork to back it up, so that we're not wondering what someone wants to talk about, but we have some kind of a knowledge of what we're going to talk about. No one likes to sit up here and look out in the audience with the deer in the headlight look. So I really would like for us to do that. I didn't do that my first year when I was here. I wish I could have done that. I wish I would have done that. But we all look back in our life and wish we would have, could have, should have done certain things. But this is an opportunity for us to start off fresh, and we welcome Commissioner Adamczak to the board. We thank you for joining us and the hard work that you did to get to where you're at today. So those are my closing comments, and I look forward to serving as your chairman of 2021. I just hope I don't have the same kind of year Commissioner Turner had. So with that, we're going to go right into our presentations. And Ms. Young, you're going to come up and do our, you want to do it from over there?
Let's just do it from here, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
That's fine. I have had a comment if you would slow down some. You're a little excited about all the projects, so someone's asked if you would slow down just a little bit, and if we can post those projects on the internet too.
The projects have already been sent to the help desk,
Good.
and they're posted on our homepage each month.
Okay.
They've also already been emailed to the BOCC commissioners, and I will do my best to slow down a little bit.
But not too much.
That's right.
Just to reiterate, the project update presentation is meant to provide the commission and the public an update on a handful of projects which are of most interest to the commission, our citizens, or administration. The project list is not intended to be an all-inclusive list of every project or initiative underway by all county departments. If there's a particular question on a project, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll be sure to provide you additional information. We start this morning with the strategic plan project underway by the administration. The project is complete. The final draft of the strategic plan was accepted on the consent agenda at the November 10th, 2020 workshop. Administration has the CARES Act Business Assistance Program live. The BOCC approved the Business Assistance Program in July of 24th. Online applications went live August 10th, and as of yesterday, we have 431 eligible applicants, 72 in missing documents, and of the 431 that are eligible, 351 have returned grant agreements to us and have been sent to finance to process. Administration also has a nonprofit business program. The Nonprofit Assistance Program was approved on September 8th, and online applications went live on September 18th. As of yesterday, we have 56 eligible applicants, 15 with missing documents, and of the 56 eligible, 38 have returned grant agreements and been sent to finance for processing. Administration also has the CARES Act Individual Assistance Program. The BOCC approved the Individual Assistance Program on Tuesday, September 29th. Online applications went live October 22nd, and as of yesterday, we have approved 103 applications, have 442 in review, 203 in missing docs, and 1,495 in progress. The Animal Control Department has the facility project. The BOCC has discussed the conceptual floor plan at the June workshop. Revisions were requested and have been completed. Ms. Suarez is expected to present the completed draft of the conceptual kennel plan at the next Animal Advisory Control meeting. The meeting that was scheduled for November 16th was canceled due to lack of quorum. The CAD area has already been approved, and Public Works has completed the topo survey requested of the area. The Department of Health has an interior building renovation project ongoing. The award of bid 2022 was made at the October 13th BOCC meeting. Contract documents are being assembled, and a notice to proceed is expected in December of 2020. Construction is expected to be complete in May of 2021. The Melrose Library has an expansion project going on. Bid 2028 was awarded at the BOCC November 10th meeting. Contract documents are being assembled, and a notice to proceed is expected in December 2020. Project completion estimated date is late summer of 2021. Parks and Recreation has the Georgetown Park project ongoing. The pavilion, playground, and picnic table installation are complete. We are still exploring options of a boat ramp location. The Parks and Recs has the Flora Home Park Historic Building renovation project underway. The Flora Home Historic Association volunteers continue to work under the direction of a building contractor named Mike Conroy. The project remains in the demolition phase. Interior demolition of the structures is complete. Fundraising efforts are ongoing. They have hired a carpenter to work towards finishing the activities. The association is working on a projected timeline for the upcoming phases. The Planning Department has the comprehensive plan update. The Planning Commission is finalizing the changes to the goals, objectives, and the policies to all 9 elements of the comp plan. The Planning Commission is also finalizing recommended changes to the future land use map. Both of these items are scheduled to be addressed at the December 9th meeting. The final recommendations for changes to the comp plan are scheduled to be forwarded to the BOCC by the end of December. The Planning and Building Department also has the Citizen Serve online permitting project. The contract for services have been executed, and we are now in the implementation phase. Internal and external teams meet weekly to review and complete the implementation of modules. We are working on the implementation of planning, zoning, and building modules. We've also started the codes enforcement, and IT is sending updated parcel data to Citizen Serve as we move closer to going live. We expect we will be live within a couple of months. Public Works, under the assistance with Mr. Roberts, has the Fort Gates Ferry Landing project. Travis Roberts is leading this project. The FDEP permit was successfully revised. The Army Corps of Engineers permit is pending. The pile load calculations have been obtained by the engineer that was engaged and sent to FDOT. FDOT comments are being reviewed and addressed, and revisions required for FDOT review, comments, and approval are forthcoming. The Public Works has the Barden Bridge project. The design is complete. Contract for construction and CEI services have been awarded. We're waiting for the payment and performance bonds to be submitted. The pre-construction conference is tentatively planned for December 7th. Public Works has the Lake Susan Road Phase 2 project. FDOT has approved final plans. FDOT concurrence has been obtained. Bid documents are being prepared by Public Works for advertisement. Construction is scheduled to begin in December of 2020, and a project completion date is estimated of June 2022. Public Works also has the St. Johns Avenue resurfacing Palm Avenue to CSX crossing at the Palaca Fire Department underway. 90% plans are being reviewed by Public Works. The construction schedule is scheduled to begin in January of 2021, and project completion date is estimated to be July of 2022. Public Works also has the East Palaca wastewater treatment plant expansion. This project is complete, and punch list items are being addressed, and the project is in the closeout phase. Public Works has the County Road 310 Bridge Rehabilitation Project. The award for design services was made to Civil Services. The design is scheduled to be complete by March 26, 2021. The septic to sewer conversion project, the governing board approved $1.275 million in grant funding for the project. Design is underway, and Public Works has obtained 40% of the required utility easements. Scheduled to advertise for construction is expected in December. The Dirt to Pave 2020 project is awaiting contract docs and required bonds from the contractor. We have an estimated completion date of July 2021. The East Putnam Drainage Flooding and Mitigation Project, Drainage and Flooding Mitigation Project, the bid package is in process. Surveying services procured for TCE required on state-owned properties. The TCE scheduled to be submitted to the Board of Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund of the State of Florida by December 15th for approval. 70% of the TCEs have been obtained. The St. Johns Avenue Drainage Improvement Project, State Road 19 to County Road 309C. The design is underway. 90% review is ongoing by Public Works. Supplementary agreement for the addition of $1.8 million to expand the scope of the project is expected to be presented at the Transportation Workshop this afternoon. Plans to advertise for construction will be expected in December. The St. Johns Avenue Bike Trail, preliminary plan modifications were submitted by FDOT. Additional plan modifications requested by FDOT are currently underway. We're scheduled to be completed by November 24th for submission to FDOT. Construction scheduled to begin after approval from FDOT to proceed. Road restriping and pavement marking project, fiscal year 20. The contract was awarded to PMP Striping. Pre-construction meeting is completed on November 13th. Notice to proceed was issued, and the striping began on November 16th. East Laura Lane Drainage Project. The pre-construction conference was conducted on October 23rd. We are awaiting quality submittals from the contractor. Construction is scheduled to begin in December. Tolls Road Drainage Project, bid 2105 is live and on the street. Those bids are due back December 21st. Reclaiming Main Street in Interlochen has been completed. Cell 4A construction, contract for engineering services has been executed and design is complete. The bid for construction services is on the street, and we expect to start the project during the first quarter of 2021, and it's estimated to take about 6 months to complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Any comments or questions? Thank you. All right, next on our agenda will be Mr. Kenny Downs, Deputy Clerk of the Court. Mr. Downs, thank you.
Thank you, Commission. Thanks for letting me come and speak today. Also to the administration, I thank you. I'm an old Southern boy, so I talk a lot slower than Julianne. So you should be able to understand me. But anyway, I'm here today to make a presentation for Tim Smith. We have called the building across the parking lot the Smith Building now for several years, and I'm coming today to talk to you about that. Tim's a fifth generation Smith in Putnam County. Went to Palatka High School, went to St. John's State College at the time, at St. John's Junior College, went on to the University of Florida, got a degree in political science, and graduated in 1974. He then started working for Gus Craig, who was our state representative. I'm sure you've got a copy of this, but I just wanted to hit the highlights of it. In 1974, he went to work for Gus Craig. During that time, he served on numerous boards for the city of Palatka, learning how government operated, and was very much involved in several boards for the city. He was then elected mayor for the city of Palatka. I have to tell you that Tim and I go back a long way together because I'm the one to talk to him about running for mayor. We served on the commission together, but Tim served 13 years as mayor of the city of Palatka. During that period of time, they lowered the millage rate and did many jobs in the city of Palatka that were needed, and did a great job doing that. He was then elected clerk of court, which will be 20 years in January. Tim and I went together the first day at clerk of court. I was his chief deputy clerk. It was kind of funny. Nobody knew that was coming, but Tim and his wife and my wife and I We kept that kind of quiet, but anyway, we've been 20 years together. Let me tell you, there's been a lot of things happening at the courthouse over the last 20 years. The first day we got there, we wanted to make sure that we didn't just fill a seat. And at the time, when we left, somebody else filled a seat. We didn't want that to happen. When we got there 20 years ago, you could have hung a foreclosure sign on the statue out front, and everyone would have believed it. The grounds looked terrible. The courthouse looked even worse. So we went to work on that. I remember one time I was called on the weekend. Someone from Public Works called on the weekend and said, "You know the water's running at the courthouse?" I said, "Yeah, I know. I turned it on. It's got to have some water." They'd run it for about 10 minutes and turn it off. I said, "We've got to have some water." The grounds look good now. And that's thanks to the commission. We went back and addressed that, and the county administrator, and I thank you for that. I came back, and Tim and I talked about it. We came back, and a local pest control company oversees that, keep the chinch bugs out and the weeds down, and it looks nice, something we can all be proud of. That's the county's house. Tim has served on many, he's chaired many different committees in town. The March of Dimes, he's chaired that several times. Also the Walk for March of Dimes, he's chaired that. And so he's been very involved in that. He served as chairman of the United Way. He also was asked to serve on the Development Authority. He served for 33 years as chairman of the Development Authority in Putnam County. He served on the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. He was asked to speak. There's 3 individuals asked to speak during the retirement of Tom Hall, who was the clerk for the Supreme Court. He was there to speak for him. I will share in just a minute some other stuff there. Tim was asked to, several years ago, the clerks and the judges were head to head. I mean, it got kind of ridiculous, but I mean, I'm not gonna say like dogs and cats, because the dog and cat might get along well, but it was a steady fight all the time. The clerks appointed one person, the courts appointed one person. Tim Smith was the person who was appointed out of 67 counties, 67 clerks. He was the one that was appointed to serve the clerks and represent them. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court represented the judges. Now, they had been fighting for, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years. It might have been 3 or 4 years, but they've been fighting for a while. And it was really ugly. In just several months, Tim and the Chief Justice had worked out all the issues, had it completely resolved, and e-filing went ahead at that point. That was a very important part of the clerk operation and the court operation. But they worked on that together and resolved that issue, and now we have e-filing with no problems. The Chief Justice was asked to speak at the summer conference for the clerks. He brought his wheelbarrow, and he dumped wheelbarrow load after wheelbarrow load of accusations on Tim Smith doing such a good job. In fact, he got kidded about that a little bit from some of the clerks, because he did do such a good job and got along with the Chief Justice so well. At the end of that night, they always make the last presentation, and Tim was awarded Clerk of the Year. What an honor for Putnam County, as well as Tim Smith, to be appointed and be nominated and selected Clerk of the State of Florida. He's Clerk of the Year for the State of Florida. What an honor. We got there 20 years ago, and we talked about we wanted to make a mark on the wall. We started with the grounds, and we came on in the courthouse. If you dropped your pencil on the carpet in the clerk's office, you didn't dare pick it up. It was just that nasty. We started the first year, and by the second year, we had completed where the desks were sitting on blocks. We put in new system furniture. We put in, of course, new carpet, new paint, and where we had computers that they would run until they quit. We started changing those out every 3 years. The speed and the accuracy was so important that we had that. And let me just share with you, somebody said, well, why'd they do that? Well, over the 20 years, our employees have dropped from 79 to 58. So that's, to me, that speaks volumes of where we're at and where we were going. We were able to give raises to our clerks, and that's one of the main reasons. We didn't come back and ask the county for money on a regular basis. In fact, we never came back and asked for money from the county to help run the clerk's office. We always ran it in our budget and normally always gave money back. We came to the county administrator and said, listen, the roof on the courthouse is leaking like a sieve. He was very quick to point out it doesn't leak when it doesn't rain. I said, you're right. Anyway, he agreed. We hired a local contractor to come in and put a roof on the courthouse. $276,000, how much that roof cost to put it on the courthouse. After we got the roof put on, I went back and Tim and I talked about it. We went back and we talked to the county administrator again about these jalousie windows that are in the courthouse need to be changed out. They were put in the 50s. We got as much cold air going out as we got hot air coming in. We need to change those out. Again, we hired a local contractor who changed out the windows in the courthouse. At that point, we went back again. That was $272,000 that we spent on windows. We went back again and we came back and the county administrator met Tim and I down at the courthouse. We met in one of the courtrooms, actually it was Libby Morris's courtroom. Said we got to start working inside the courthouse. These courtrooms hadn't been touched in years, probably 50 years. He agreed. So we started in her courtroom to start with. And we worked after 5, we worked weekends, holidays, and we worked late at night, sometimes 2 and 3 o'clock. But we always had it back together so the courthouse didn't close down. Had it ready for work the next morning at 8:30. At the end of that time, we had the Chamber of Commerce come and have their open house at the courthouse. We invited all the public to come and see what their house looked like. We had a big crowd. People came in, we'd redone the halls, we'd redone the courtrooms, we'd redone the restrooms. I had a gentleman from the court association come in one time and told me, he said, well, I'm getting ready to retire. He said, I used to stop at a 7-Eleven, use the restroom before I'd get here. He said, now you can come in the restrooms and they're clean enough to eat in. He was right. We completely redid that, something that our community could be proud of. We made a mark on the wall by doing that. One of the contractors in town that was at the ceremony that day said, you know, if you'd hired any contractor in town, it'd cost at least $1 million to do this job. We did it for $400,000. We watched every nickel, every dime, what we did, and we did it for $400,000. So we basically got a new courthouse with everything being done. Tim's been the chairman of the technology committee for several years now. He's continually called on to help with the technology stuff. I ask you today, as I come before you today, we've got a person that's the 5th generation in Putnam County. Not a lot of those anymore. We've got a person who has served 33 years in public life, done a great job in public life in our community. I come before you today and ask you to officially name the Smith Building the Tim Smith Building. You call it the Tim Smith Annex, or that's up to y'all, the way you want to finish it up. But I hope that you will go with me and agree that it's time to name that the Tim Smith Building. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Downs.
Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions? Oh, buddy, that's you? Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I understand it's a new job. You're a new man on the job.
No.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm totally in favor of this request. On a procedural basis, are we allowed to do this today in the opinion of staff, or is there something that would prevent us from speaking about it right now during this presentation?
There's nothing to prevent you from speaking about it, but if you're going to make a motion for a final vote, I would say put it on a future agenda.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we place this on a future agenda for further discussion.
I'll second.
We have a proper motion, proper second. Any further comments about this?
I have a comment.
Okay, Mr. Rawls?
When Mr. Downs approached me at this month and a half, 2 months ago, I was all in favor of this. I got to know Tim over a very long period of time, and, probably one of my fondest memories is when we were at Rotary, and Tim stood up and said that, he and I had been on opposite ends of issues before, but he was proud to call me friend, and it really just gave me a great sense of being welcomed by him and just getting to know him over the past. I don't think anybody deserves a better accolade than Tim Smith does, and having that building named after him. And honestly, I would be in favor of naming the courthouse after him. But whatever the will of the commission is, would this best be handled through a proclamation or?
Well, the wheels are turning over there, I see them.
Normally, naming is done through a resolution.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Rawls. Mr. Pickens?
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. When Mr. Downs contacted me also, I was definitely for it. I can't think of a finer gentleman, to name a building after. He's just had a great, career. And as I say, Matt, this is the last time I'm saying this, you've got some special shoes to fill over there. But, so I'm full favor of it. I guess we could maybe pull this to a workshop and see exactly how we want to do it. But I'm definitely in favor of naming that building.
I think we could do it by resolution at the next meeting, but I'd like to throw my 2 cents in too. Mr. Smith is one of the finest gentlemen I know. A good friend of mine has been. We haven't always agreed, and I have to tell you a funny story. When I joined Rotary, Mr. Smith was my fireside chat. I thought, this is going to be a breeze. Tim is such a gentleman. He was very hard on me. But what was important, Mr. Smith, and I'm going to say this to you, you told me what was expected of me right up front. And I've always carried that through the people that I've brought into Rotary. It's always nice to know what's expected of you up front. And if you can deal with that, then you're going to make a great asset to the community. And Tim has always been there on the other end of the line when I wanted to jump off the roof or fold in the chips and call it a day. And he's just one of those guys you can talk to. And Mr. Smith, it'd be an honor to name this building after you and move this forward and let you enjoy your retirement with you and your family. And I pray for you daily, and I just want you to know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could I just make a comment?
I think Mr. Suggs had his
Okay.
finger up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just in the same line of comments that's made here this morning, just because we are getting near the end of what is an illustrious career here in Putnam County. Just wanted to echo the same thing that my commissioners have already echoed, in that what a true friend and confident Mr. Smith has always been. I know I'm the new kid on the block, only been here 6 years, but I think in those 6 years, I've got more tutelage and coaching from Mr. Smith than just about anyone in this community. There's been many times he sat me in his office, taking me for a ride on his golf cart, and just text messages and phone calls at the appropriate time. So my comments this morning is just simply to say thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first, let me congratulate you on being chair for the upcoming year. I think you'll do a great job. I just want to take a second not to speak long-term, because I would like to, at some future meeting before I leave office at the end of December, to have an opportunity to say a few words about my service to you and to this community, but I want to thank Mr. Kenny Downs personally for that presentation today. As he mentioned, Kenny and I go way back. Our family ties go back generations also, and a lot of the success that we've had in the clerk's office is due to Mr. Downs and his commitment to that and his service to that. And Jeff, I do want to let you also know that I'm proud of your and my relationship today. And when you were proposed for membership in Rotary, I thought long and hard about that. And what I decided was that those issues that we had were from a different time, and that I was going to support your invitation to Rotary. And you are a great Rotarian, I will tell you that. And I appreciate that. And so I'm also proud of our friendship. I don't always agree with you, and that's good. We're not all supposed to agree with everybody all the time, but it's how you work together to come to the common good, compromise, and continue to move forward. So, Mr. Chairman, I thank you for allowing me to have just a few minutes. I wanted to personally thank Mr. Downs. And as I was sitting here and I look around the room and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people that currently or have worked in the clerk's office in this room, and that goes to the importance of the relationship that the clerk's office has with the Board of County Commissioners. And so I have, over the past few years, enjoyed working with Matt during a transition. Our transition is a lot smoother than Washington's, so you know. And I know that Matt's going to do a great job and continue to serve all of you with honor and dignity and respect. And so I do want to also point out that you stole Sarah from us, and but I'm proud of Sarah and all the other folks that work or associated with the clerk's office, and I look forward to a future meeting to have some closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
But you stole one back.
Ashley. Yeah. That's right. Thanks for pointing that out, Commissioner. That's right. All right, we're going to move to our public comment time. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberations about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit to 3 minutes. Commissioner Pickens will keep time. If you hear the beep, please try to wrap it up as quickly as possible. Public comment cards are conveniently placed at the meeting room entrance on both sides. And then please bring them over to our deputy clerk, Ashley, right here, and she will bring them to the board. I do want to say, if you have other documents that you want to present to the board, they do become public knowledge and public records. So they will be, if you have things you want to show, you have to submit them to Ashley, and they become part of the public record. So we have 2 cards this morning, and I'll call Nicole Grace. Is Nicole in the room? There you are. Come on up, Nicole. I thought you were over there a minute ago. Somebody else? Okay. Ed follows everybody. Yep.
Good morning, ladies and
You
gentlemen.
pull that up to you.
Oh, I am taller. There we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations on all the new appointments. It's been really exciting, and also in the administration area. We are open at Keep Putnam Beautiful. Our offices are by appointment, and if anybody wants to come by, or if you have someone that's come up to you and is looking for assistance with cleanups, we're again open to the public. So we do wear masks, and there's a temperature checker at the front, so we do have to follow those, but we're open. We were closed for a long time. We've been very active running around. You've probably seen me on Facebook, and we've done a lot with sanitation. Thank you for all the help in that area. Still some Still some areas of concern, and I did check on the signs. They were on the other side of the water, Commissioner. So I had told Commissioner Adamczak that I would pick up one of the signs, but I went out there and the ditch was full of water and the sign was over. I'm like, next time. But we have a lot of people that are interested in reusing signs. If anyone from the elections has extra signs that you're not going to be using, and recycling, I have some area that they want to do projects with them and the signs of kindness as well. So again, congratulations to all, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Our next speaker is Sue Holland. Ms. Holland, if you'll come up. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for hearing me today. I'm coming for a status. I do want to say thank you to the road department. They did come dig out our ditches. They've made a valiant effort. I did bring an email from one of the other neighbors that, from Ms. Greenwood, administrative coordinator, saying our roads were a category 3 and not a 2, and so I'm also looking for clarification on the road. And I know that you're working to try and get the roads paved. Out of the 5 roads, I've heard 3. The 2 worst roads, mine, being Creekside and Edgewater. We've had many people stuck last week, and thankfully Brian Hilligist has a tractor and pulled people out. But now I feel like I'm the liaison. Everybody keeps calling me, and I don't own those roads, but saying I take the time to come and address the board. We're looking for status is what's going on. So
I'm going to let Commissioner Turner. Are you prepared to? It is in his.
Mr. Chairman, this is one of the items on this afternoon's workshop list, so I don't really have a status for you this
Sure.
morning, Sue. We'll know more after workshop this afternoon on where it's going to go.
at 2. Okay, I'll come back at 2. Should I submit this to Ash?
Give that to Ashley.
Yes, sir.
please.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I have a
Ms. Holland.
question.
Yes, Mr. Rawls?
How can she get clarification on that class 3? Because if class 3 is if they have a private road, that's not going to be.
Not a private road, Jeff. They're class 1. I don't know what you have information, but we have a class 1 road.
Okay.
They're all class 1s.
I'll submit it.
They were on the paving list at one time, and the
That's what I
engineering
thought.
was already
Right.
done. So,
That's- yeah.
like I said, we're
discussed
supposed
this
to talk
a couple
about
weeks
it in
ago.
workshop this afternoon. It's one of the items on the workshop
Yes, sir.
agenda.
Okay, I'll submit this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holland. We appreciate it. Mr. Ed Killebrew?
Hey, good morning, Ed Killebrew, 146 Barden Estate Circle. I just wanted to stand before you this morning, and we went from sentimental to business real quick, but I kind of wanted to be sentimental for just a minute. Even though I do stand up and go toe-to-toe with some of y'all, the past year has been tough on us all. Been really tough. But I just wanted to personally recognize Commissioner Turner as chairman. I thought he did a great job. I'm not just saying this because he's my friend. I sat back and watched him gnash his teeth at many different difficult decisions that he had to make through this past year. I watched him walk through the door just like the rest of y'all, but I mean, he was chairman. He walked through the door of the EOC the first day of this pandemic and took the bull by the horns and did the rough job, did the tough job, did what had to be done, what had to be said, and it wasn't popular. But he did what was right and true. And I just want you to know that I appreciate that, Commissioner Turner. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Killebrew. All right, is there anybody else for public comments? All right, seeing none, we're going to end our portion of our public comment, and we're going to really quickly go into consent agenda. We have a 10 o'clock certain that I want to try to keep around that time. So consent agenda, I'll start with Commissioner Rawls. Is there any items you want to pull, Mr. Rawls?
None.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Pickens?
I have none.
Commissioner Adamczak?
Item G.
Item G, thank you. And Commissioner Turner?
I have none.
Okay, and I have item G also. So, Mr. Adamczak, I'll let you go first on item G. Or I tell you what, the chair will entertain a motion on the rest of the consent agenda items.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda items A through I with the exception of G.
Second. We have a proper motion, proper second. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Former Chairman, how does it feel to make your first motion? Not bad, is it? Yes.
Sure better than there.
Mr. Adamsack, go ahead with item G, please, sir.
So I just want to make sure, as someone that comes from a technological background, by high-speed internet, the definition is 25 megabits upload or download and 3 megabits upload. That's hard to achieve in Putnam County in our city centers without paying a great amount of money. So I read through the House bill that you referenced. I would have probably went deeper, made some phone calls, had this been on the original agenda, but I wasn't able to. So, but my feeling when I read the House bill is it's fairly generic, which I understand. So I'm all for this, but I'd like to see us do something a little more teeth at some point soon, in reference to, defining what affordable is and defining what high speed is from a local perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Adamsack, and I'll explain just in a second. Mr. Turner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We started working on high-speed internet many years ago, and the last 3 years we worked pretty hard at it, believably or not, and we found out that we have high-speed internet service equipment hanging on poles in Putnam County, but we didn't have any end users to use them. And we were the middle mile, and then by the time we found out that the equipment was owned by USDA comes back and says that they're not sure what department within the USDA owns it, but they're pretty certain that the equipment on the poles is obsolete. And so it wasn't worth the money to pursue it to move forward. And so after we started pushing on them again for internet, it was told to me in a seminar that I was in that within 3 to 5 years, maybe 6, there's going to be satellite internet. It may not be at the speeds that Commissioner Adamsack was talking about, but it's supposed to be available within the short distance future. So and that was the reason that they had given us for not supporting running fiber optic lines throughout everywhere where you could tie on through fiber optics, was because for a lot less money there was going to be internet service. And I know that Elon Musk guy or whatever that shoots them rockets off, he's sending off hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of satellites throughout every year just for this main purpose of the internet. At least that was my understanding. So I'm in full support of this in any way that we need to go, but we definitely need to move something in that direction, especially with this year's pandemic and people having to learn from home and what have you. We really did find out what the true shortcomings for broadband was in Putnam County. So even if it's not at the fastest speed, I assure you there's a lot of people in the county that would have rather had it at the old dial-up speed than none at all.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And Mr. Adamsack, before I call upon you, I'm going to go ahead and kind of set, I have been the rural caucus chairman for the Florida Association of Counties for 3 years. Broadband has been in our radar and really in our crosshairs for the last 2 years. Governor DeSantis came into office, created an Office of Broadband in the Department of Economic Opportunity under Mario Rubio's leadership. Kate Smith kind of runs that program. So what has happened, transpired, is next month in Jacksonville, I'll be presenting broadband with a group of leaders again at our legislative conference. But in the meantime, what has happened is Small County Coalition, who Commissioner Pickens serves on that, as I do, and you're more than welcome to come to that. Everybody is. Chris Doolin, the Small County Coalition, passed some resolutions through their facility to start moving this needle forward, and basically stating to the governor, we're here to help. Tell us how to plug in. Tell us what we can do to help. So we've had some webinars, and we're moving this ball forward. But this resolution basically states to Florida Association of Counties, who developed the Access 67, which I'm on the board of directors for, that's 67 counties in Florida. And every county has some problems with high speed or broadband or affordable. And as you said, Commissioner Turner, everybody seems to have internet. It's just not affordable, as Mr. Adamczak even said. So we've got to do better, and this is our way that we can pass this resolution today. I can take it to Jacksonville when I go to the legislative conference. I can hand it over to Dane Eagle, the department head of Department of Economic Opportunity, along with the other 67 or 66 counties in Florida are hopefully doing the same thing right now, to say, we're not just going to say we need it. We're going to say we want to be a part of the solution to help. So, Mr. Adamczak, you're next.
The one thing we just want to watch is putting all our eggs in the basket of satellite, because satellite, part of economic development,
Well,
economic opportunity, is that you have people work from home, and this has become more apparent in the age of COVID. Working from home via satellite, if you're on a VPN, does not work because there's high latency between the Earth and the satellite and back. So if you're working with any type of VPN or anything like that, basically there's multiple transactions that have to happen for one thing to flow. So you have to consider some landline or some other form that's localized and small and local, because the satellite does not work on VPN.
Right.
So it does work, you just can't do anything. So if this has been moved as part of the House bill to the Economic Opportunity Center, that's who's going to be responsible for it now. So their responsibility is business for the most part. And understanding the uses for schools and other things are very important. But I just don't want to get caught up where we're only thinking about one solution, because that one solution by default does not solve the problem.
and Mr. Adamczak, let me say, a few years ago, it was one solution, but it was driven by the provider. And they all wanted to go, wait till the next best thing came along. They didn't want to run fiber in the ground. They didn't want to turn up the speed on your internet, which they could have easily done in some cases. So we learned a lot of things, but this is an opportunity for us to help the Department of Economic Opportunity, who got tasked with this job, who got no funding to go with their task. So this is something we can do. Our NACO partners and anybody that's watching, you can download an app called Test It, T-E-S-T-I-T. Very important to Putnam County, because wherever you're at, you can hit that button and it'll give your upload and download speeds. And NACO, our National Association of Counties, is tracking that. I've asked the previous board, we all supported mowing, and the mowers were doing that. This is important because now this can show, because here's what happens. The Federal Communication Commission says if Commissioner Rawls, who's in a census tract, has high-speed internet, then everybody in that census tract has high-speed internet. We know that that's not true. We know that that's not true. So it's very important. Download the Test It app from the National Association of Counties, and that's part of our charge, is for the mapping to start taking place. Commissioner Rawls, you had your...
Yeah, I just want to say this is an opportunity where the county, either through a public-private partnership or a utility, if we hammer the state and ask them if there's any way that the rural counties can take this on ourselves. This is an opportunity for us to be able to provide the service. It's not going to be provided by private sector. There's no value in the private sector to go 15 miles out and only pick up 30 or 40 customers. And you look at areas in your part of the county, out in the Star Lake area or down in some of the southern ends. I think it's pretty safe to say that Commissioner Turner and my districts are pretty well covered, except you've got areas out in Barton and Florhome that are dead.
Right.
So this is an opportunity where I think if the state would allow us to get involved in that, you take a look at what Gainesville did. They're selling data. The city of Gainesville, that's a huge moneymaker for them, and it could be the same thing for us.
Agree. All right, thank you. All right, if there's no further discussion, the chair will entertain a motion on item G of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we pass item G on the consent agenda.
We have a proper
second
motion by Commissioner Turner. Proper
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion on this matter? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, the ayes have it. We're going to deviate from our thing and go right to our 10 o'clock certain public hearing, page 129 on your agenda. Mr. Brown, you have the floor, sir.
Just give me a second while I get things set up.
Sorry I caught you off guard, didn't I?
All right. Mr. Chairman, Board of County Commissioners, Mike Brown, Planning and Development Services. There are 3 rezonings before you today. The first one is R20-006. The applicants are William and Christine Binninger. And this is a request for a zoning map amendment for a single parcel from commercial retail C2 and residential to R2 to commercial intensive C4. The property is located at 202 North Highway 17 in Palatka. It's just north of less than 100 feet from the municipal boundary with the city of Palatka. Just a little background, the parcel has split future land use as well as future split zoning. It's designated commercial and urban service on the future land use map. The parcel is approximately 1 acre in size, and it has approximately 130 feet of frontage along US Highway 17. There is an existing commercial structure that was built back in late 1940s or early 1950s. There are no wetlands or special flood hazards on the parcel. And as I indicated, that the parcel does have split zoning as well as split future land use. You can see from the aerial, there's a picture outlined in blue of the parcel. This is the future land use. You can see it's primarily commercial with some urban service future land use. The existing zoning is C2 and R2, and then as proposed, it would go to C4 as requested. As consistency with the comprehensive plan, the future land use designations of commercial and urban service both allow for commercial uses. So the request is consistent with the future land use designation. And again, the uses that are allowed in the C4 zoning district, if that's approved, are consistent with both those land uses, urban service and commercial. The existing zoning R2 prohibits development for commercial uses, and the C2 zoning district is primarily for a light commercial intensity uses. The C4 zoning district provides for a general commercial zoning district for intensive commercial uses that require immediate access to major or minor arterial roads. In analyzing the request, as I indicated earlier, commercial uses are allowed in both the future land use, commercial and urban service. The future land use designation on the surrounding parcels are commercial to the south, urban service to the northeast and west, and that split future land use applies to the southern parcel. To the west across US 17, the properties are designated commercial on the future land use map. US Highway 17 is designated a principal arterial, 4-lane divided facility with an adopted level of service D. There is adequate capacity available on US 17 to support any development that would happen on the parcel. And again, there are no wetlands or flood hazard areas on the subject parcel. The parcel to the east immediately does contain and is permitted for a residential dwelling. However, the development code does require buffering and screening for adjacent uses between the C4 and the R2 zoning district. Staff feels that those buffers and screening requirements are adequate to protect the residential use to the east from any development on this parcel. In conclusion, staff finds that the proposed rezoning to C4 is consistent with the comprehensive plan, is consistent with the locational requirements of the C4 zoning district, is compatible with the surrounding uses. The Planning Commission at its October 14th meeting voted unanimously to recommend approval of the requested rezoning to the board. Staff recommends approval of the request to amend the zoning map from R2 and C2 to commercial intensive C4 for the subject parcel. Do you have any questions of staff at this point?
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Brown? All right, hearing none. Rich, would you like to read the resolution by title only?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ordinance number 2020, amending ordinance number 5-18, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending the official zoning map for Putnam County Incorporated into Article 2 of the Putnam County Land Development Code, Ordinance 2005-18, providing for severability and effective date.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mr.
I
Turner.
think with this being a public hearing, before I can give a motion, you've got to ask for public input. Okay.
Is the applicant here and do they wish to speak?
Yes, the applicant is present.
Do they wish to speak? Good. Okay. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is William Benninger, 279 Cervantes, St. Augustine, Florida.
Thank you.
Currently, I have a used truck lot where I sell used vans, and I really like it over here in Palatka, and I want to make a nice place to sell work trucks, vans, and pickup trucks. And that's about it.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Penn?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of this application? Would anybody like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we're going to close that section, and
Mr.
the chair will
Chairman.
entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we uphold the unanimous recommendation of the Planning Commission and find that case number R-20-006 is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Putnam County Comprehensive Plan.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Turner,
Second.
proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Commissioners. Mr. Brown, next case, please.
Mr. Chairman, the next case is R20-007. Again, it is a request for a zoning map amendment, single parcel of property from agriculture to industrial light. The applicant is Nautica Digital Solutions, LLC. Property is located at 476 U.S. Highway 17 in Palatka. The parcel is designated industrial on the future land use map and is approximately 0.41 acres in size, and there are no wetlands or special flood hazard areas on the subject parcel.
Mr.
Here's
Brown?
an aerial showing it. It is vacant
Mr.
presently.
Brown?
Yes.
I think you're out of order.
No, I think they're all in our packet.
Oh, they're out of
We
order.
just went to 7
Okay.
instead of 8,
Oh,
I believe.
I'm sorry. Did I go out of order?
Okay, 174.
No, that's the
Yeah, that's,
I apologize.
no, that's fine. The second one's the Kellys, but we'll go right, go ahead and we'll finish up what you're doing on page
Okay,
170.
this is case 20-007.
Okay.
I do apologize.
That's fine.
As I indicated, the future land use is industrial, so the county has identified this as an industrial area for future development. The current zoning is agriculture, and the proposed zoning would be industrial light. As I indicated, the future land use is industrial, which are areas that are intended for industrial development, primarily associated with manufacturing, assembly, and processing of products. The existing zoning is ag, and in the future land use, in our comp plan, in the future land use element, agriculture zoning districts and industrial future land use are basically there as a holding zone until appropriate development is proposed. The IL, industrial light, is appropriate and allowed in the industrial zone, future land use district. The uses associated with the industrial light zoning district are allowed in the industrial future land use. And again, US Highway 17 is a 4-lane divided principal arterial with a level of service D. Again, there is adequate capacity in this area of the county along US 17 to handle any development that would be developed on this site. No residential vehicle or traffic from the development site will have to pass through any established neighborhoods. And again, as I indicated, there's no wetlands or flood hazard areas on the parcel. And again, any development on the site will be required to comply with the buffering and screening regulations found in the Land Development Code. In conclusion, staff finds that the proposed rezoning to industrial light is consistent with the comp plan and the future land use designation, consistent with the locational requirements for the industrial light zoning district, is compatible with the surrounding uses. Planning Commission on its October 14th meeting unanimously recommended approval of the requested rezoning of the subject parcel to industrial light. Staff recommends approval of the request to amend the zoning map from agricultural to industrial light for the subject parcel. Any questions of staff?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any questions for Mr. Brown? Rich, would you like to read the ordinance by title only?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ordinance number 2020, amending ordinance number 05-18, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending the official zoning map for Putnam County Incorporated into Article 2 of the Putnam County Land Development Code, Ordinance 2005-18, providing for severability and an effective date.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
The applicant is
Would the
present.
applicant like to speak? Please come up and state your name and address for the record, please. I thought you might want to speak. I've been noticing you kind of.
Thank you. And
Would you pull that microphone down to you, please?
This is Leyla Gözet, the engineer. My address is 703
You can pull it
Burgundy,
down. There you go.
Delray Beach. If you approve, if we have approval, we will move here. And I'll say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is anybody else in the audience would like to speak in favor of this application or opposition of this application? Seeing none, we will close that portion of the public comment period. Commissioner, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Turner.
I move that on case number R20-007, that we uphold the recommendation of the Planning Commission and on the grounds that it is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan.
We have a proper motion on the floor by Commissioner Turner.
Second.
Proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Any further discussion by the board? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Brown, next case would be R20008.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman and Commission, the applicant is Sean Register and Christopher Kelly. The request is a zoning map amendment for a single parcel from agriculture to commercial general C3. Property is located at 149 State Road 20 in Palatka. The parcel is designated urban reserve on the future land use map and is approximately 4.7 acres in size and has approximately 500 feet of frontage along State Road 20. And again, there is no wetlands nor flood hazard areas on this parcel. Here's an aerial showing the site. It is vacant. The future land use is urban reserve and is surrounded by urban reserve future land use. Current zoning is ag, and you can see there are areas to the east and sort of diagonally across 20 from the site that are designated commercial zoning. And this is what the proposed zoning, if adopted, would look like. Again, urban reserve, this is an area of the county that's transitioning from a more rural area to a more urban area. County has recognized that with the designation of the urban reserve, future land use. Commercial uses are allowed within the urban reserve future land use. Community commercial uses shall be located on sites that have direct access to paved roads with a collector or higher roadway classification, which State Road 20 classifies as. The existing zoning is agriculture. Again, in the urban reserve future land use, agriculture serves as a holding district or holding zone until appropriate development consistent with the intended use of the future land use comes into play. Thus, the request to C3. As I indicated, this is a transitioning zone in the county. We're seeing it move more from a rural nature to a more suburban type development. The uses associated with the C3 zoning district are allowed in the urban reserve future land use category. State Road 20 is a 4-lane divided with principal arterial with an adopted level of service D. And again, there is plenty of capacity available on State Road 20 to support any development at the parcel. Non-residential traffic generated from the project site will not have to pass through established neighborhoods. And again, there are no wetlands or flood hazard areas. Again, the surrounding parcels will be buffered consistent with the buffering and screening requirements of the Land Development Code. So in finding and recommendations, staff finds that the proposed rezoning to C3 is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use designation, is consistent with the locational requirements of the C3 zoning district, and is compatible with the surrounding uses. The Planning Commission at its October 14th meeting unanimously recommended approval of the requested rezoning. Staff recommends approval of the request to amend the zoning map from agriculture to commercial general C3 for the subject parcel. Any questions of staff?
Any questions, commissioners, for staff?
Nope.
Mr. Commando, will you read the ordinance by title only?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ordinance number 2020, amending ordinance number 05-18, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending the official zoning map for Putnam County incorporated into Article 2 of the Putnam County Land Development Code, ordinance number 2005-18, providing for severability and an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Commando. I'm sure the applicants are here and they want to speak.
The applicant is available.
I picked many a peas in that field right there as a young boy, so I did. We won't go into all the detail. All right, commissioners, any comments? We're going to open up the floor for public comments, those who want to speak in favor. Anybody in opposition? Okay, you may come up, state your name, address.
Sue Holland, 115 Creekside Road. I do not live there, but I just wonder, there's residential homes to the left and across the street and a church. What are they going to do with the property? Is it going to harm the residents' homes? Just a question.
Thank you. I believe they're going to put their office there, and it's compatible with the land use, so.
I mean, the uses, I mean,
Not, yeah, we
are
can't really-
C3. There is buffering requirements. The C3 zoning district against, and its ag zoning around it, are our most extensive buffering and setback requirements. I can tell you it's a minimum of 20 feet. And then there is requirements for fencing and vegetative both buffering in those areas. So, you know, that's, in addition, all these projects being new projects required to go through Development Review Committee, where all the agencies in the county and regional agencies will be sitting and looking at the site plans, and we will be addressing those buffering and setback requirements as part of that review.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Are there any further comments from the audience? Hearing none.
I'd like to make a statement.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to address this real quick.
Yes, Commissioner.
Ms. Holland, the planning board considered that, and they did discuss the buffering requirements at their meeting. So moving forward, our future land use and our comprehensive planning, you'll probably see more of this, especially around your main feeder roads like Highway 20 and Highway 17. So, thank you.
I agree. Commissioner Adamsack?
Only question I have is, was, like she's saying, the neighbors, were they involved or invited to the?
I mean, again, we post everything with our signs, our beautiful fluorescent green signs. But we also, everybody within 300 feet of the property gets a letter. That's a requirement of the code. Nobody showed up at the Planning Commission and voiced any concern, nor did staff receive any phone calls or comments.
Thank you.
From neighbors.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any further questions? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we move this ordinance forward regarding case number R20-008.
Thank you.
I'll
Because
second that.
proper motion by Commissioner Rawls, proper second by Commissioner Turner, because it's consistent with the comprehensive plan and the Planning Commission. So, any further comments? No? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to take a 3-minute recess and be right back, and then we'll start back on our agenda. 7A, that's a fine reduction request. Mr. Thomas here, you're going to bring,
Good morning, everyone, and commissioners.
morning, sir.
Ready? First case number is 2012-274, Freddie Cummings and Eleanor Bond. The violation was an unpermitted porch and enclosure addition. The original fine amount was $64,495.62. The total cost of enforcement action was $2,475. Property owner recently purchased the property and property is now compliant. They were requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Any commissioners have any comments or questions on this case?
I have a comment.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion.
No, I said I have a comment.
You had a comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, go right
Yeah,
ahead, sir.
Just staying consistent with what we've done with all the other ones. Let's see, I'm going to see which one we're on here.
Cummins.
This is 274?
1,030.
Yeah. I'd say that we reduce the overall fine from $24.75, drop it down to $11.75, being consistent with what we've done and giving them, or I'm sorry, not $11.75, it's $10.30. Yeah, $14.75. $14.45. Being consistent with what we've done in the past and give them 90 days to pay the fine.
The motion is to reduce the fine from the $64,495.62 to $14.45 if paid within 90 days. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion by the board? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Go right ahead, Commissioner.
In this particular instance, in his letter, did they note that?
Mr. Adamzak, you're,
Sorry.
there you go.
They note that the person who applied is a paraplegic, and that part of the reason when they tore that off was they built a ramp. I know in the past, in watching the meetings, you guys have made a little more special consideration for situations like that where someone was handicapped or needed some special assistance. I just wonder if that may be appropriate here to help them a little bit more given their current situation.
Mr. Adamzak, everything's appropriate that we do, so
Yep.
there is a motion on the floor, so we would have to vote on that motion up or
I
down.
think we did, Mr. Chairman, and so I have no problem going back if Mr. Adamzak wishes to and revisit it, but I think we already voted to do it, to reduce it to $14.45, didn't we?
No, that's why I'm bringing up in
Well,
comment. We didn't.
We were, I didn't see the light lit up, and I apologize. So during the vote is when Mr. Adamzak raised the issue, so I don't think it's official as of now.
No.
Okay,
So
I'm good.
what's the will of the,
you
you have a motion on the floor that you presented? Are you willing to amend your motion or withdraw your motion to start over, or,
I'll withdraw it and let's have a conversation about.
Mr. Pickens, are you
I'll
willing?
withdraw the second. We got
All right, so we're back to case number 00274. Mr. Adamzak, you have the floor.
So yes, just in consideration of the fact that the person applying, Mr., I can't read the name, but is paraplegic and obviously needed some remedy in that, and he's not here, I assume.
No, sir.
Was that part of the importance of it, or did he express any financial concern based on the fact of his disability to pay that portion of the, I think, $1,400 as
No,
well?
sir,
Or
they
he
didn't.
felt confident he could do it?
They didn't, they just said, do what you can do, and they know the amount,
Okay.
so.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
Chair will entertain a
Are
motion.
you
Chairman.
willing to make the same motion, or do you want to?
Yep, I will, and what I want to say was, normally, when people are looking for additional exceptions, they'll come in and ask us in person, but I do see your point, so I'll reiterate the motion that we reduce the overall fine to $1,445, giving them 90 days to pay.
We have a proper motion to reduce the fine to $14.45 with 90 days to pay from Commissioner Rawls. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Next case.
Case number 2013-401, Joel Laval Lynch. Address 105 Caribbean Street. The violation was unpermitted alterations. The original fine amount was $15,628.50, and the total cost of enforcement action was $2,269. Property owner recently purchased the property and has gotten the property compliant. He is now requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
Any questions on this? All right, Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, in staying consistent with past board actions, I move that we reduce this fine of $15,628.50 to $1,399, allowing 90 days to pay.
We have proper motion by Commissioner Turner to reduce the fine to $13.99 with 90 days to pay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rawls. Any further discussion on this matter? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Item 8, Clerk of the Court, Mr. Tim Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any particular items, but I would certainly defer to Clerk-elect Reynolds if he has any. But before I do that, I would like to recognize my almost daughter, Julianne, having a great article in the paper over the weekend, and also mentioned the editorial today. So congratulations, daughter.
Now, do you claim her in the bad times too, or just the good?
No.
Okay. Mr. Reynolds?
I would just like to congratulate Julianne as well, like I said in the article, that I think she will do a fantastic job. So looking forward to working very closely with her as we have in the past. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
And from your Clerk of Court's office, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Commissioners' appointments, item 9. Commissioner Rawls, do you have any appointments?
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Pickens?
I have none.
Commissioner Adamsack?
For the Contractor and Building Trade Examiners Board, I actually, if Mr. Saffy's not here any longer, I'm going to appoint Tim Williams to the Consumer Representative out of District 5. to
That will
replace
be
myself.
I believe the board needs to approve that, if I'm not mistaken, because those are at-large. Is that right?
Which one is this?
And I guess the importance there being the former chairman there, we have a very hard time making quorum with the current at-large roofing contractor not being filled. And I think it would really delay things if we didn't post that, whether I fill it or someone else fills it, for the December meeting. If there is any actions, I think it'd be very difficult to get quorum.
So, Mr. Adamsack, you would like to appoint Tim Williams as the consumer representative to replace you?
Yes, sir.
That were on there, okay?
Nominate.
You would nominate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that require a second, Mr. Chairman?
I believe it does, because it is a board appointment.
I'll second.
Okay.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Adamsack, proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Any further discussion on Tim Williams?
I have and I don't know if you want me to do this after, but as far as that board as the outgoing chairman, the at-large roofing contractor has been open for quite some time, and it doesn't seem like we've been able to find someone to fill that. There is in our charter, the document for that board, an allowance to have a different type of contractor fill in if we're unable to find a roofing contractor. It just can't be the same type of contractor that is already on the board. So I don't know if we want to change the wording of that to maybe open it up so we can potentially get someone from another contracting area, only because it's been, I think, a year almost, actually longer than that we have not had a contractor filling that, and that is part of the problem with establishing a quorum for that particular committee.
I'd like to have you bring that up in January when we have that meeting.
Sure.
To discuss them, because some of the committees do need to be cleaned up on. So right now on the table is Tim Williams. We have a proper motion and a second, and we're going to call for a vote. All in favor signify by saying. Whoops.
Do you have comment?
I'm sorry.
We can I wanted to ask a question, what he said, go ahead.
Okay, on this matter, Tim Williams, who's replacing Consumer Representative Paul Adams. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Rawls, you have the floor.
So, you're saying that the ordinance already allows us to do that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it'd just be a matter
That's
of,
why I was hoping John was still here, but he stepped.
okay. You know, I don't, do they meet monthly or every other month?
Every month.
Every
unless
month.
There's no business.
I wouldn't see a reason to wait until January if we could put it on, maybe discuss it maybe somewhere at the workshop this afternoon and be prepared to take action in December and see if we can, you know, get that adjusted if they're having a hard time getting a quorum, because that's,
Well, I think they were, but now with that, why don't we wait till January, if you don't mind?
I don't-
And let's get that wording cleaned up, because I think there's some other things we need to clean up on.
That is a smaller committee
Yeah.
with the quorum requirement. It seems pretty tight to the number of people on the committee. And sometimes the issue is the contractors are out doing work and they have running unexpected things, is literally what's happened. Now, a lot of times we held the meeting for 15, 20 minutes till they got there, and we were able to accommodate that.
Commissioner Turner, did I call on you for appointments?
Oh, sure you haven't yet, but I have none, thank you.
Thank you. I called on everybody else, correct? Okay, good. And I have none. So, number 10, County Administrator, Mr. Suggs.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you.
Just before we leave appointments, let Commissioner Rawls know that Mr. John Nelson did come in and pick up his application. So I'm assuming it's been completed and turned in, so thank you for that. And we'll work on the language of for the contractors and building trades boards. A couple of things is I spoke with Dana Jones, president of the chamber, last evening. We got Rural Days coming up, I believe it's March 10th through 12th in Tallahassee. She was wanting us to try to start looking about a head count from the commissioners who would be in attendance. They're going to be taking up the tents again this year and putting those up, and she wants to make sure that there's some representation from the Board of County Commissioners in the tent area. So if you could let me know that'd be great. Another thing is, you know, we're still under the local state of emergency due to the pandemic. The former chairman, or prior chairman, I should say, Mr. Turner, each week has to sign the extension of the local state of emergency per the board. So we need to make sure that we don't lose that in transition. So Mr. Harvey, weekly it is, or Chairman Harvey, it's weekly that has to be signed and back into the office each Friday, so we can extend that for each 7 days. If it's the will of the board to continue doing it as you're doing it, that's fine. If you want to delegate that authority to your county administrator, that's fine, however you want to do it. But we do need to get that taken care of as we move forward.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Suggs. Mr. Turner?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the county commission gives the current chairman the same authority that it granted me to sign the weekly LSE extension until such time as he deems not to be necessary.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Turner. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any discussion on the matter?
question.
Mr. Rawls?
You said until who deems necessary?
Till the chairman deems necessary, that it's not, he can't sign it till the governor tells you can sign it, and then it's over, because you can't, it doesn't mean anything. And so as long as the governor still has a state of emergency. So what I don't want to do, and the reason I voiced it like that was because what I don't want to do is have to call a special meeting to turn it off once it's over. I mean, when the governor says the emergency's over, it's over. So he can't sign it anymore. So I don't know that we want to make sure that he continues signing LSE agreements whenever there's no LSE agreement that can be signed. So that's what I'm trying to state.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Trying to get these lights working. Okay. We have proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Suggs, were you done?
Two more things, Mr. Chairman, is December is right here upon us. Your second meeting in December is the week of Christmas. It is December 22nd. So, just for moving forward, I would like to have some confirmation from the board, it doesn't have to be today, about whether or not you'd like to continue with your December 22nd meeting the week of Christmas, maybe pick a different date, or maybe not hold the meeting at all. That would be a board decision, and
I think we can make that today.
that's your pleasure, Mr. Chairman.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'm for having it.
Restate what it was, Terry, I was reading.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
LSE extension.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, your second meeting in December is the week of Christmas, December 22nd. So the county administrator is looking to the board for direction on whether or not we're going to continue with that date, change the date, or not hold a meeting on that date.
What is what day is Christmas?
The 25th is on a Friday.
No kidding, okay.
You asked the question, boss. Hey, listen, that was a programmed answer. The holidays this year, is recognized on Thursday and Friday.
Friday, so we have a meeting on Tuesday and Christmas on that Friday.
Yes, sir.
I don't have a problem meeting unless somebody's going off. Either way, I have no problem.
I guess I'll just follow up what I had asked is if we know that a lot of staff is going to be, the people that need to be in the meeting are going to be off. If 80% of them are off or something, then maybe move it. But otherwise, I'm all for having it.
The rate we're going, Christmas is going to be canceled anyway, so it won't
Yeah.
matter.
Mr. Sugg, I think
Yes.
at the next December meeting, we can get a better tune of what the staff is going
I'll
to
be
do.
more than happy to bring that back to you.
I think I'm in favor of what Mr. Adams, if there's no one gonna, if staff is gonna be gone, then let's really seriously look at, we don't wanna waste time and try to make things happen when we can just easily finish it up in December.
Okay, all right, and Mr. Chairman, my last comments this morning is about Thanksgiving, and, I had the opportunity to meet with our directors yesterday and told them how much I appreciated all that they've done this year. The work that they've done has just been outstanding. The service to this board has been outstanding, and the service to our community has been outstanding. And so I just want to take this opportunity to thank them again publicly, wish them a very happy Thanksgiving and a safe Thanksgiving. Mr. Reynolds, even though you've jumped ship and you're on the other side of the dais now, and Mr. Smith, also happy Thanksgiving to you gentlemen and your families as well, and to each one of the commissioners. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Suggs. Gentlemen, it is important to get with Mr. Suggs about the rural days in March. We tend to have a really big showing up there in Tallahassee, and it's a very fun event, and it's an opportunity to promote Putnam County in a very positive manner. So please get with Mr. Suggs on that. Commissioner comments, we'll start with Commissioner Rawls.
Okay, here we go. So I assume everybody read the email that we got from a group called the Putnam Alliance for Equity and Justice regarding the monument. And they're stating that they've changed their position from being satisfied to have it moved to wanting it removed from the county entirely. I think we should sooner than later be discussing the possibility of putting an ordinance in place that protects our existing monuments that remain. Moving that monument doesn't mean we have to move all of them. And I think we should also include protecting the murals that we have around the city of Palatka, if that can in fact be done by this board. Because it seems to me if we don't do it, we're in jeopardy of losing more than one. So Commissioner Harvey, you had said that when we make requests to be on the agenda, you want us to provide documentation prior to the meeting, correct?
That would be correct.
Okay.
If we can.
Okay. And will everything be put on the agenda that's requested, or will this be filtered and?
There would be no filter.
Okay. And then the other thing, I'm still looking for the boundary delineation for the animal shelter, if somebody can get me something to start with. Basically, what I'm looking for is where would the road go into the property, so we can kind of start working in that direction. But, otherwise, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're getting one meeting closer to being through with 2020. Hopefully 2021 will be different, but we won't be under a state of emergency. Otherwise, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Roth. Mr. Troxel, you were dealing with the mapping of the property out there, is that correct, for the animal shelter?
Yes, sir.
You want to come up real quick and just give us a really where you're at on that? because that kind of, we have been kind of waiting and getting that done. And you don't have to spend a whole lot of time, just kind of give us a brief update of where that is right now.
Okay, I was just talking with Mr. Triano back there. I guess they're also waiting on the Animal Control Board or committee to look at exactly where they want to put it in the property. There are several roads there that we can utilize potentially, going up through there, but.
I thought we were looking at using that one that was already established, that's got the,
That really kind of the single lane one.
yeah, it's got the ditch on the left side and the old EMS building on the right. What we've done is we've made a 5 square acre plot digitally, and that, so if this does end up being 5 square acres, then that part of the job is done as far as that the site planning can be done. The rest of it, getting access to it, we can poke anywhere.
I will get with our surveyor,
Okay.
Mr. Turlington, and see if we can just plot out a 5 acre spot somewhere that doesn't, that misses the easements for the power line and some other stuff over there.
I mean, Commissioner Turner, you're probably better familiar with that property than anybody else. I don't know of any other area that we could access that short of going, I don't think we want to go through the gate at the SO.
No, I agree, Commissioner Rawls. I think that, and plus the board already voted on the location of this thing at more than one workshop, even went up there and pointed to it on a screen. So may have been before you got here. But they voted for that building to go right off the end of that driveway that goes between the EMS and the ditch that go before you get into the parking lot of the sheriff's department. So there's a road that's already built there, a lime rock based road.
Okay.
That's already built there that goes all the way to the back side to where the Port Authority stops and this property begins. I don't know if that's county or Port Authority, where the power lines are. But instead of just sticking a 5 acre block out in the middle of that field, we try to need to make it as usable as possible. But maybe it needs to be a little bit oblonged or something to keep from having a corner, but we don't want to put part of the 5 acres down in that low area all the way back behind the sheriff either. So, if that's what's necessary is that we take the 5 acres right off the end of that road, that means we can move in either direction. 5 acres ought to be plenty to put a animal services facility
And
on.
if you can get us locates of any utilities that are currently adjacent to that or as close to that as far as water and sewer goes, and maybe data if it's available.
Sure, we can do that.
Most of that comes in, Commissioner, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you may.
Most of that comes in right about the center of that road, goes underneath it, in between the asphalt where the EMS is and the back fence there that's the border to this property this is going on. Most of it goes through there into the existing jail.
Okay. That'd be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rawls, and appreciate the comments. Mr. Pickens?
Thank you, Chairman. Want to congratulate you on becoming chairman
sir.
for your second time, and I know you'll do a great job. Also want to welcome Paul Adams-Zach. I look forward to working with you. And Commissioner Turner, what a wonderful job you did this year. As I said, probably in the middle of the year, all you need is a hurricane to round your year out, and you almost got it. You got a taste of it. But through everything, you were definitely a leader, and I appreciate your leadership and all you work for Putnam County and this commission. And in closing, I just want to thank staff. I've enjoyed working with everybody this year, and I know we've had some reorganization, but I think it's going to prove benefits for the county. And I enjoyed working with you, and just wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Commissioner Adams-Zach?
Yes, I don't know if you want me to address my requests or want to do that after, but.
No, go right ahead.
I have comments that are
Take your
separate from that. Evening meetings, and I understand your request for supporting document. I don't know if that applied to this, but I guess when I was observing meetings during both the statute as well as the EMS situation, there were several people, several times who brought up at the podium there that they'd like to see evening meetings, that they felt like they had to break away from work, including a school teacher and several others. Everyone knows where I stand at evening meetings. I have come before the board as a citizen in the past several times, I think 3 times, and before the school board as well. I do like what Mr. Pickens said the last time that I came up as a citizen, basically where he felt the workshop would probably be the more appropriate meeting to have in the meetings in the evening if we were to do it. So I just want to start that dialogue, I guess, is the best way to put it. And I guess that dialogue starts as of now because I started it.
Well, I appreciate it, and as the chair, you know, COVID hit last year, we were going to take the show on the road. Mr. Rawls brought that up, and Commissioner Turner was very adequate to try to make that happen, but it didn't happen. Not because of any other fault of anybody, it just didn't happen that we couldn't go back out in the community. So I think, in my opinion, just me as a commissioner, I have a problem going out in the evening and talking to people and going to certain communities. And I think we should try to stick with that plan as we go forward. I would like to have more discussion at a workshop coming up when we can really hone this in, but I appreciate you bringing it up.
I'd like to separate the two because that was what came about from the discussion at that time. What I'm talking about is having a workshop once a month in the evenings. So that's what I'm proposing.
Yeah.
And as far as the getting out in the community part, I think that's something we should all be doing regardless.
We do.
Whether we do it on a monthly or bi-monthly cadence. I would like to do that regardless, just by having a public, I guess we could put it in the paper, and whichever commissioner attends, if we did it in different areas, that would be up to them. I don't know that we need to do anything except for put a public thing out in the paper saying that we're going to do that.
Again, I'd like to go back to our January meeting that we're going to have, and we can really hone this down.
Yep.
Okay? Your next item, sir?
Board's lit up, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
I'm sorry. Everybody's got it. Who's next?
There's a number on the bottom that'll tell you who's next.
Okay, so that would be Commissioner Rawls would be first then?
So I echo Commissioner Adams-Ack's comments about having, you know, I've been in favor of nighttime meetings, period. I think the more access we give the public, the better we can serve our public and hear from our public. You know, at one point in time, there was a misnomer that we couldn't go to a meeting unless we travel with an entourage, and then in doing research and talking with Mr. Commando, that's not so. So one of the opportunities that we have as a commission is the BOCC Community Association has a monthly meeting where they have a meeting and then dinner. It's actually like a Baptist social, but real quick 45-minute meeting. They do take notes. They do transcribe minutes, and we're all invited. They're having the Christmas party. It's the first or the second Monday of every month. So I highly encourage you guys. If you've never been there, it's a blast. And the Christmas party's next week, or I'm sorry, next month. So that'd be a good time for y'all to go if you wanted to. But I agree. I think the more we can engage the public in here, having meetings in here, if we could just start with one a month, I think that would be a good start. See what the turnout is, and
Thank you.
stand in support.
Thank you, Mr. Rawls. Mr. Pickens?
Yeah, I know when this has been brought up quite a bit, and I know I've had discussions with Paul, and I did mention, I said, you know, I think maybe a workshop would be better because we're trying to finalize business during our regular meetings, and you just have 3 minutes of comment. But what we agreed to do, went out and held some town hall meetings, and I think we need to consider maybe doing some of those, even if a commissioner chooses to do it in his district by themselves. But we made an attempt, and just the COVID had stopped it. We had one night meeting. It was really well attended. People were given more than 3 minutes. The only issue there was some people that really had their issues, wanted us to make a decision on that right then and there. So we have to be aware of that. But I think I like the idea of the January meeting where we can discuss our plans moving forward individually and as a commission. So we can discuss that, but I'd be in favor of trying to continue the one meeting, a nightly meeting here, once a month.
Once a quarter, like it was?
Yeah, once a quarter.
Yeah.
Once a quarter, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Pickens. It's all three, so I don't know who's next, but I'm going to put it over to you, Mr. Turner.
Yeah, everybody knows I'm not in favor of night meetings, and it's mainly because I am accessible. Anybody that says they can't get hold of me hasn't tried very hard. That's all I can say. because I return my calls and I talk to people and I do what I can to try to move people's agendas forward if they're agendas that I feel like are in the better interest of this county, because that's the hat that I wear. I don't think it's in the best interest of Putnam County to have night meetings just for the sake of having night meetings. When I go out and talk to people, yeah, there's a handful of people that it's a big deal they want night meetings, but most people don't care. And it does cost the county more money to have night meetings. There's no doubt about it. You can't convince me otherwise. So I think this should go to workshop. And I think that until it comes back from workshop with a favorable vote, I'm getting damn tired of talking about it in commission meetings. So let's just take it to workshop. If it comes out of workshop with a favorable vote, then good. Let's bring it back up, pass it, and be done with it. But until then, just talking about it over and over and over is not going to help anybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Adamczak?
So I guess there's a difference from my perspective of responding to citizens and being available to citizens as a commission. The five of us can't really discuss things between ourselves unless if we're in a public session. And a more well-attended public session would allow for more people to interact with us. So as a board, not as an individual. I understand what you're saying as far as people contacting you are accessible. Accessibility and availability of a board are two separate things in my opinion. The second thing is, I think it gives us an opportunity to showcase some of our parks and recreation facilities as far as community centers and things like that. If we do them and we get good attendance there, then people become more aware of the fact that they exist to rent them and to utilize them more. We have underutilized resources all throughout this county that we've already built, and there's people asking for things. I mean, I heard during my time campaigning, people were saying, we need community centers. Well, we have several of them that are unutilized because people don't even know. So it serves two purposes, and the only reason I bring that up is food for thought for when we go into the January discussion. I think it's multifaceted. It's not just about us meeting in front of the people and being available. It's about utilizing resources that we have. It's about creating events that get people aware of our facilities. And it's about basically getting more participation from the public with the board as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adamczak. All right, enough about that. Mr. Adamczak, you have item B, Inspector General.
So the Inspector General thing I just brought up because I believe there was one very well qualified man that we honored today in Tim Smith that's been asking for Inspector General for 2 years. We had 3 very qualified candidates, all who ran on the idea that they wanted an Inspector General. It's something I believe in very strongly. And again, this is just a conversation starter with the budget. And I did take time to meet with both Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Smith last week. I think it was Friday. And basically in that discussion, they have some research that they want to do on how they think the Inspector General could best help our county. And I think, Matt, you're attending a conference in February. So I guess it's something I'd like to have us see on a workshop agenda, maybe sometime in March. Maybe he can present to us what comes up in that workshop that he's going to and let us know the reasons why. I guess the reason I want to get on it right away is because our budgeting cycle starts literally in February. So this is December in a few days. So I'd like to hear more from Matt when he comes back from that, where he's going to get some education on it, and then proceed from there.
Thank you, Mr. Adamczak. Mr. Turner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, number one, I think that if there's going to be an Inspector General hired by Putnam County, it's going to be done through the clerk's office and not through the Board of County Commissioners. There's very few things over the years that I have disagreed with my good friend Tim Smith on, but that is one of them that he can tell you that he's passionately on one side and I'm passionately on the other. And the main reason being is we rewrote our purchasing ordinance, and nobody has shown me one time since we rewrote it where we've had an issue. Somebody shows me an issue, then it'll be a different deal. I think that it should be left up to the clerk of court, Mr. Reynolds, when he comes in, to decide if he wants to hire an IG. And if Mr. Reynolds decides he wants to take his first term in government and expand government and spend money on something that he spent 2 years here at the county helping rewrite the ordinance to prevent that from happening, okay, then we'll talk about it at that time. But that's what just took place. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Turner? Mr. Rawls?
Yeah, so you can write all the policies you want. It doesn't prevent any fraud or any abuse from happening. It happens every day in government, everywhere. The beauty of the IG would be that we would have we would have a third-party entity that would be looking at policies and procedures, looking at purchases maybe, or activities of our government that may or may not come into question, and then have suggestive changes, or if they find something that's wrong or fraudulent, bring it to the attention of the board. We got slapped around pretty hard by a vendor and an employee of this county after that purchasing ordinance was passed, because
Correct.
staff, we had a form that was supposed to be signed by 3 different staff members, and checks were being written because one staff member signed in 3 different places in one instance. So I think, if we had an OIG, they're the ones that come in and catch this stuff. At one point, Commissioner Harvey went to Tallahassee and got the State Auditor General to take a look at issues that we had in the county. So, and we had policies in place back then. The possibility is there, $100,000 a year in my estimation for something that could return tenfold that amount in savings, if not more, is definitely something that we should consider doing. I agree with Clerk when he suggested the OIG. We've had a lot of people from the public asking for it. And I think, too, it would also give us the third-party shield that we could stand behind and say, look, we have an OIG and this is their finding, so the public doesn't look at us and say, no, you guys just hide the football. It's all, you keep it all over there. So that's my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Rawl. Mr. Turner?
I think Commissioner Adams' act was next,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Adams?
So, just like the internet thing, everything's not as black and white as it seems on the surface. The Office of Inspector General also gives us the opportunity, if we do have a complaint from our customers, which is our community, it gives us the opportunity for them to look into that briefly. And some things may be cleared in 5 days, and simply by looking at it and saying, oh, there was nothing wrong there. That gives us basically a reputable person to look at as the IG or department, however you want to look at it, whatever they come back with is what they'd like to do, to basically say, to develop trust with the community and show them as independent and basically allow things to be cleared in the case of several things that should have been cleared easily, and have us not be a part of it, because we shouldn't be a part of that. The OIG would be the part of that. The other thing it allows us to do is it takes some burden off of staff to be following up on some of these questions that come about with emails and other things that I've already seen since I've been on this board, and it's only been a week, I guess, a week exactly to today, where you get questions about things where people are concerned with wrongdoings and things. That's something that should just be forwarded to the OIG. And if they're doing their audits and the things that are part of what Tim and Matt explained to me, a lot of that stuff could just be answered, and then we're done with it. So, I mean, it's just more than an investigative unit, and I think that's what Matt's going to go back and find out, and what I'd like them to present to us in March.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Turner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that my point being is one of the words that was used in by one of my fellow commissioners here. It's not a matter of hiring an IG, it's hiring a damn IG department, a whole department. You got an IG, and then you got an assistant IG, and then you got a secretary to the IG, and next thing you know, we got a $500,000 a year IG department down there doing what's basically happening now, and it's not costing us any money. And since we rewrote the purchasing order, we haven't had a problem so far. So that's what I keep bringing up. If we had additional problems, or somebody could show me an issue or whatever, but all that being said, this is not our decision, in my opinion. This is Matt Reynolds' decision. If he decides he wants to grow government and spend more money of the taxpayers' dollars, that's his decision. I don't think that that's the board's decision, and I think that's what needs to be brought up here. If one's going to be hired, it needs to be hired through the clerk's office. And it would have to be proposed in his budget, or him find money in his existing budget to do it, one or the other.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. I really need to bring this in for a landing. I know Mr. Adamczak and Mr. Rawls have your lights on, but Mr. Adamczak has asked if we could discuss this more in depth in March of 2021 when Mr. Reynolds.
I'd like to respond to what Commissioner Turner
I know we all would, but let's, for the sake of the meeting, let's move very fast, if you don't mind.
Sure. I think Mr. Rawls.
Mr. Rawls?
So I think it's naive of us to sit here and think that we can create a perfect policy that nobody's going to be able to deviate from, or that there won't be any kind of fraud or waste. And we're talking about not just fraud, but waste as well. I have been serving this board for 2 years, and I have been extremely frustrated with the waste that I have seen coming from this government. I've spoken it vocally. You know, I tried to bring up a 20-year-old contract that we currently have with the Chamber of Commerce, and it got shut down. Things like that. You know, and I'm not the only person from the public. I was elected by the public to serve the public's best interest. And I tell people, before I was a commissioner, I'm a taxpayer. And I have concerns about the way we have no oversight. We have the fox watching the hen house. We're saying we're the government. We can watch ourselves by saying we don't need an OIG. And I respectfully disagree. I don't think it's Mr. Reynolds' decision whether or not we have one, because it's our responsibility. We're tasked with the responsibility of oversight of our budget, not the clerk of court, unfortunately. This is our responsibility. At the end of the day, we're the ones held responsible. Thank you.
Mr. Adams, real quick.
So again, we chose to honor Tim Smith today, and a lot of us expressed liking his wisdom and intelligence that he brought to this board and to this county through all the multiple roles he had. He asked for that in his budget 2 years in a row. This commission decided to not approve those items 2 years in a row. So I think he did his job in adding it to his budget and making us aware that it wanted to be in the budget and gave a number to it. We ultimately approved his budget. So yeah, sure, could he have scraped out something out of his budget somewhere else and done it? Sure, he could have, I guess, and gone forward. The only other statement I want to make is the OIG is not about one purchasing document. It's about a lot of other things. So you keep bringing up one document that, yeah, we did a great job on. I wasn't part of that, but everything I've seen, things have gone better since I've seen that be out there. I've watched every meeting for the last 8 years. I've attended many. It's not about one document. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Turner.
One last comment, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman, and then I'll
That-
try to help you move the meeting forward by.
Will be the last comment.
Number one is that Mr. Smith did not ask for that to be included in his budget. He said that he recommended having one, but it was not included in his budget. Now, he's here if he would like to tell me that's incorrect, but it was not included in his budget, but was excluded from his budget, but requested as addition to his budget. Now, if that's wrong, then I'm not putting words in your mouth. So I'm pretty sure that's the way it was done. It was not included in his budget. So I do think should be part of his if it does it. But you can't get me there. I'm a Republican, and when I sat in this seat, a conservative Republican, and I don't believe in growing government, and I don't believe in spending more money for people unless it's absolutely necessary. I don't do that. And so that is why I would like to let Mr. Reynolds have that opportunity to decide, does he want to be somebody that grows government or not? So it's up to him. I think it's his decision.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Mr.
We're
Chairman.
going to talk more about that at the workshop. Mr. Reynolds, you had your hand up over there.
Yes, sir.
Last comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Mr. Smith did provide me with some interesting information regarding charters of other counties that do have Inspector General's offices. So I'm going to be taking a look through all of those. And when I do go to that winter conference training in February, hopefully I'll receive some more information. I can talk with some of the Inspector Generals down there, and I will plan on bringing that information back to the board and kind of doing a walkthrough of just exactly what an Inspector General is. I think there's, everybody kind of has their own perspective on what an Inspector General really is and what they do and what they're responsible for. So I just want to bring that information back and kind of help clarify that and talk about it at that point. It is something that I would like to see implemented, but I'm also a conservative Republican. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm about being as cost-effective as I possibly can. And so that is something that I'm going to work on, is finding a cost-effective way of being able to implement that. But again, we can talk about that more in upcoming workshops.
Thank you,
So,
Mr.
thank
Reynolds. Appreciate it. Mr. Turner, do you have any commissioner comments?
Yes, thank you. Were you done, Commissioner Adams? You said you
sorry,
had
yes.
another
Yeah,
comment
sorry.
after you got through.
Yeah,
your-
I do have my general comment. I just wish to recognize the fact that it is Thanksgiving coming up, and it is important for us all to thank God, our Creator, for being there for our country, for our people, for everything. And I just want to express my beliefs that that is who led me to run for the seat, and that is what I prayed to was my God, and that is how I ended up here. So, thank you, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone in this community.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Thank you.
Mr. Turner?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, once again, I'd like to join with everybody in congratulating you to be chairman. You'll do a fine job as you did the last time you were. Also, to Commissioner Pickens for becoming vice chairman. I know you'll back up. And like I said earlier, myself and Mr. Tim Smith don't always agree, but we've been the closest and dearest friends since just after being teenagers. So, and I actually ask him for counsel a lot more than we disagree on things. So, over the many years we've known one another. I'd also like to, I know we congratulated Miss Young for her position, but I'd like to do that again because of the nice newspaper article. I was just wondering, do you have something on, Sarah, for you to actually get a nice article like that instead of getting blasted? Sorry, Sarah. And with that, I'd also like to wish everybody a nice Thanksgiving. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Turner. I guess that was your last shot out the door, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Sarah, I was just making it fun. All right, do want to bring to your attention on December 5th, the town of Interlaken is doing a Christmas celebration, very social distance, with the help of signage, and we have people out there and hand washing stations, L's with sanitizer. We're going to really put on a great time. There will be fireworks that night. So we're going to be moving them to the north side of the lake, which should give a lot of, I bet you can sit at Hitchcock's parking lot and watch the fireworks. So social distancing is not going to be a problem for that. And we really look forward to at least celebrating. No sitting on Santa's lap this year. Pictures will be taken with Santa in the background, but nothing up close like that. So we're going to be very good stewards of the town. And we look forward to everyone being a part of that. That is on Saturday, December 5th, starting at 4:30 in downtown Interlaken. And my closing comments would be to Ms. Young also. I enjoy working with you. I don't always get the answers I want. Never do in my life. But, you know, it's enjoyable to work with you and to see you moving up. And looking forward to the future around here of what we're having. Came a long way, guys. We've been a long way since we got here, and we still got some ways to go, but I think we're moving the ship in the right direction. I do want to say that at 2 o'clock we have a workshop meeting, so be part of that, and be back then at 2, and at 5:05 we have a public hearing tonight about the budget. Is there any further items to come before the board? Hearing none, we are dismissed.
Damn, don't break that piece.